I'm Bob. The clip that you've just seen is part of the trailer to the movie Watchmen. The audio is from a song by the Smashing Pumpkins. Both the song and the movie are a perfect match, in that they both represent a dark and nihilistic worldview. As a friend of mine said, it's creepy. Why should I include such darkness in a commentary about the Pope's recent remarks on condoms? Well, in general, it seems that the media isn't capable of understanding what the Pope actually said. It appears that there are two worldviews. One represents darkness, the other represents light. One represents the culture of death, the other represents the culture of life. There's a great deal of hostility toward the Catholic Church's position on condoms, especially with respect to AIDS in Africa. The world thinks that the Church policy kills. Here's a clip from the Watchmen trailer that has a voiceover by the character Rorschach.
The world will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll whisper, "No."
Well, the character Rorschach is aptly named. In the movie, he's a character that sees things in moral black and white. But the death wish he expresses represents a reflection of the world's view, and not what the Catholic Church actually teaches. The Catholic Church teaches that there are two purposes for sex, procreative and unitive. The unitive is easier to understand, I guess. The unitive refers to the bonding effect that occurs between a man and a woman. It's really saying that sex is intimate. I guess there is some denial over that effect, but that's not where the primary thrust is these days. The other purpose is procreative, and that's the one that's under attack. Really, if we just look at the names that we use for our genitalia, we call them reproductive organs, and even the fact that we use the word genitalia, it's the root comes from the root word is the generation, and so the whole purpose behind this, even if we buy into evolution, is that we want to continue the species, and marriage is centered around this. Marriage is ordered to the procreation and raising of children. The moral law regarding sex centers about that fact. The sin of adultery is a no-brainer when we look at the nature of human beings and the nature of family. While there are those who claim open marriages, the reality is that adultery tears away at the fabric of a family. People don't approve of their spouses cheating on them. And in opposition to premarital sex is easy to understand for a young woman because of the potential child she'll be carrying in her womb. Barring that we have some way to prevent that, that sex represents a tremendous commitment. I'm a moral realist. What I view is that human nature has a lot to say on the morality of actions. And there are a lot of people who would deny that we have any specific human nature, or actually, probably more accurately, they would say we can change things. I'd like to point at a bit of reality and non-reality. In the movie The Matrix, there's a sequence fairly early on in the movie. The main protagonist, Neo, is offered a blue and a red pill. The blue pill represents the old. At the time, Neo is kind of not living in reality. He's not living in the real world. He's living in the Matrix. And the red pill will bring him down a path to what is really real. And Neo chooses the red pill. But there's another sequence where another character has the same choice, but in this case he's betraying, and let's take a look at that.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand?
The amazing thing is that many people choose the same thing as Mr. Reagan or Cypher, as the character is also called. A lot of people who actually make the same sort of choice that he made, to deny reality. And it's something really to think about. Would we rather have a false relationship? Would we rather be in a false world? Would we rather experience all the pleasures in the world in a false world? And I think a lot of people would answer, yes, they do want that. They don't really want to live in the real world. It's too hard. And the same thing kind of happened in the world. And what I'm talking about is the 1930 Lambeth Conference. They made a decision. A very, very minor decision. They decided that this is the Lambeth Conference in 1930 was for the Anglican Communion, the communion that broke away from the Church in the time of Henry VIII. In 1930, they decided that they would allow birth control within marriage for what they considered, or what people would consider serious reasons. And that's an important break. It seems so minor to people nowadays, and it doesn't seem significant, but that was a major break because it removed procreation as the primary purpose. People could say no to procreation while embracing the unitive aspect of sex. And if we take a look at the progression of morality since that time, premarital sex became acceptable after that, and it's easy to see. If you can take away the problem of a young woman getting pregnant, premarital sex becomes okay. And it just doesn't stop there. Anything really starts becoming okay. Consent actually replaces human nature. What human nature is. Consent becomes a replacement as our moral litmus test. We start saying, as long as two people consent, then it's okay. And so here we are in the 21st century, and we're talking about things like same-sex marriage and these sorts of things. And another thing that we look at, and this falls under consent, is pornography. Under the current litmus test, it's really about consent. The actors consented to have sex in front of a camera, and then we have the person who views the pornography, and we sort of see, well, what's wrong with that? And if you turn back the video here that I just did, the problem is that the person has chosen non-reality. They've chosen the fake relationship, and in fact, marriages are breaking up over that. The truth is that for guys, at least, I don't know how it works for women, but I understand the dynamic, at least from the male perspective. Guys look at maintaining a marriage relationship as a fairly difficult thing, and pornography is actually pretty easy. In fact, you can go and search through the internet and find your perfect woman who will do all your desires. The funny thing about this is that it becomes kind of like a death spiral, so to speak. The woman doesn't understand why this guy is addicted to pornography, and she becomes difficult about it, and so the guy moves away from his wife and goes toward the pornography, because it's a lot easier to go on the internet than it is to actually try to maintain his relationship, and so it becomes worse, and also it becomes worse in another way. There is a certain realization, at least within this guy's psyche. Maybe it's buried deep underneath, but this sort of false relationship with pornography is not fulfilling. And so what happens for a lot of guys is that they tend to go for more and more extreme pornography. That it starts off fairly innocent, and then it starts going off into extremes. It's different probably for every guy, but for instance, let's say a guy is attracted to innocence. What happens in that case is that this person will probably try to go and finding pornography with women at younger and younger ages, and that certainly is one aspect that we see. I mean, there's we have current laws that don't allow pornography with women under 18 years of age, and I'm sure that's broken quite a bit. There's probably quite a subculture of pornography dealing with sex with underage teenage girls. And the same sort of thing happens actually in the homosexual world. There before the Catholic Church's sex scandal, there was quite a bit of a push for homosexuals to actually have like man-boy relationships. NAMBLA was actually moving forward, and that's all explained by Mary Eberstadt. I think I remember her name correctly, in Pedophilia Chic. And there she explained there was definitely a movement toward getting younger folks or lowering the age of consent. Then there's the pill, the denial of women's fertility. The pill is very much like the red pill that Neo faced. It's the fantasy pill. It promises a lot of things for women. Women now can get themselves a career, and I suppose to a certain extent, they view it as liberation. They don't need men. They can pursue a career. But I think what we find is that a lot of women, as they approach the other limit that they have when they become infertile due to old age, a lot of women start, I guess, maybe freaking out might be a little bit too strong, but women start getting a little bit desperate, especially those women that have put career ahead of seeking relationships. And women all of a sudden, and maybe in their late 30s, start wanting to put marriage on the fast track. They want to have at least one child, and that's kind of a funny thing. It's they took the promise of liberation, but that's not really what they want. And I think there's that demonstration right there that there is a denial of reality. I'm not saying that women can't have a career and a family at the same time, but there's this sense that, especially I guess within the feminist movement, that they've really gone off the rails in denying that women would ever want to be a mother. Motherhood is not viewed as slavery for many women. And that's probably a sad thing, because there is another effect that the pill has made, and it's reduced women to being made as sexual objects. A guy no longer has to really court a woman. Really, for what a guy wants, he just doesn't really want that kind of relationship stuff. He wants the sex, and things such as the pill, and later on the follow-up abortion, which is a backup contraception. With the pill and abortion, guys were able to get the premarital sex that they desired, and I guess that's enough for really a background. Let's move on to the Pope's documents.